First off, I owe locating the lost an apology. Um, they were not the one that made the video. That I do. I stand corrected on, and I apologize. Like I said, when I started making these videos, there's so much bullshit that I'm dealing with that I'm gonna get my facts twisted. And it wasn't locating the lost that made that video, but it was locating the lost that hired quote unquote an outside expert to irrefutably state that I was lying through the whole thing after being cleared by the state police, the FBI, polygraph tests, CPS. I mean, for a week straight, we had basically an FBI, state police base camp. You have to excuse the puddles, but it should be about Stefanie. It's never been about Stefanie though. It's always been about feeding the algorithm. I have a platform too. I have to study the algorithm. I have to learn that algorithm because it's how a platform works. And there's certain things on them platforms that feed, and there's certain things on them platforms that don't feed. And whether it be locating the lost, Nancy Grace, Chris and Shelley, you guys are looking for food for that algorithm that's going to grab attention. And you made it about my family. Instead of it being about my daughter, you made it about my family. And it should have never been about my family. But here I am now defending my family because Stefanie, I guess just Stefanie by herself wasn't worth enough clicks. So let's bring the family into it. I get that. But you guys picked the wrong family. For a year and a half, I sat back here, quote unquote, sat back here. I've never done no interviews, not talked to nobody. Within a year and a half, I've done podcasts, I've done news interviews, I've done interviews with the state police, I've done interviews with just about everybody. At one point in time, I was doing 2 interviews at a time in my backyard. They're on national TV. So they had base camp set up here, but I didn't let them search the property when they were going in and out of my house constantly. You know, you know how kids are. Look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. You know, kids are kids. But let me tell you how quick it went from being about Stefanie to being about my family. When my baby girl went missing, I expected CPS to come in my house. That's that was a given. I mean, there's a child missing. CPS needs to be involved. But instead of it being a phone call to CPS saying, "Hey, we need to get everything clarified. Need to get it. Let's get things straight here. Let's do what we need to do so we can figure out where this baby is." No. Officer Martin decides to call CPS. My house is disgusting, unventilated, the heat was improper. A, a bunch of really just complete total bullshit. That was within 24 hours that call was made. Now, if CPS had showed up, said, "Hey, we're here because of your daughter's disappearance," I would have been like, "Hey, let's come in, let's have a cup of coffee, let's talk about it." But no, they had to come in and verify this, verify that, because of the things that Officer Martin said. You know, it's like him saying that the house is unventilated. This is a roughed in house, as you can see in the backgrounds. It's roughed in because it was never supposed to last this long, but between my father having a massive heart attack, Stefanie going missing, kid starting in school, things steamrolled and snowballed real quick. And so, house is unventilated. Well, when it's roughed in, where the corners are, where the cracks are, there's just going to be spots that it's going to have ventilation. There's no way to say that a roughed in house is completely sealed tight. It's naturally ventilated. So now you're going to kill that light, babe. So after that incident went on, we were already dealing with CPS, going through everything, and we've been fighting with the wood stove for about a year and a half, 2 years, and finally got fed up with it. Having to run a wood stove, and then half the time run a kerosene heater. I had to run this or I had to run that to back up the wood stove. It was monotonous, you know, because this is northern Maine. It goes weeks on end where it's cold, and you can't look at kids and try to explain to them why they got to be cold. You got to keep them babies warm. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I seen, pellet stove, and we're up in Madawaska and picking up pellet stove and everything. And I go through the line to pay for the pellet stove, and I'm assuming it was a mother and daughter because one lady was much older than the other, and the younger lady looked at the older lady and whispered it low enough, but clear enough I could hear it. That's the man that got away with murdering his daughter. Okay, so that's just my two incidents. I mean, because after that, I just quit listening. At that point, I was just like, this world can officially just kiss my ass. I mean, I know why I live way out in the woods away from everybody at that point. Because there was never no concern, no condolences, no, not even a simple I give a fuck. The rumors had already ate into people's brains so bad that I couldn't even go in the store and buy a pellet stove without the whistlers. But that's just my two incidents. Since everybody wants to make it out that it's supposed to be about me, I'm not here about me. Because, like I said, I really don't give a damn what anyone thinks of me. I'm 47 years old. I'm married to the same woman for 17 years. I'll be married to the same woman 30 years from now. I don't need to impress nobody. I don't I don't care what people think. I receive a check every month. I'm disabled. My land, everything I own is just about paid for. So personal opinions and credit and all that doesn't amount to nothing to me. But it's not about me. And these videos ain't about me. Because honestly, I should be on here making videos about my daughter. Because you guys don't know how much my heart's been ripped out. You guys want to string along about the fact that she was my little village idiot. And that comes back from when she was a little baby. She had a t-shirt, and on the t-shirt, and she literally wore this shirt to where it fell apart. We had it put away for a long time. And on this t-shirt, it literally had on the back, the local village called, and then on the front, it said something to the effect of, they're missing their village idiot. And she wore the hell out of that shirt. And Stephanie was the one to always get attention, you know. So it's not saying, I don't say it in a derogatory term. I say it as a term of endearment. I mean, but those little things that make Stephanie personal and make Stephanie human, you guys want to twist it into something else. Then I got babies that go to public school, and that's on me. I didn't keep paperwork up to date. I didn't keep testing. I didn't. There was a bunch of things I screwed up on, and I've never denied anything I've done wrong. But my babies go to public school. Now, Natty started public school before any of my other babies. She walks in the front of the schoolhouse, all excited and everything. This is her first day of school. First thing that's said to her within 5 minutes of her walking in the front door "Hi," is not "Hi, Natty. Hi, this, that, nothing else. Aren't you the girl whose daddy fed your sister to the hogs?" She's not even in the school 5 minutes, and my daughter's already facing that. Okay, and it still goes on. She says things to the teachers, the kids just get sneakier. And then, so you have to ask yourself, where did the kids hear this stuff from originally? Where were they allowed to hear this stuff? Only one place: the parents, the grandparents, the teachers. It was somebody higher up than that child. And now I've got three of my children in school, and all three of them catch hell over it. I mean, at one point in time, CPS was actually dealing with a Facebook chat group that was literally dedicated to sending their kids to school with negative rumors just to start more phone calls. I mean, my daughter does her little womanly thing and starts her little womanly thing at school. And instead of them calling mom, dad, or something to take care of it, they call our CPS caseworker. And when our kids were in school, at that point, Mel was no longer a CPS caseworker. She was a CPS advocate. So, no, this ain't about Stephanie. You guys never wanted it about Stephanie. You wanted it about something gruesome. You wanted it about kids getting fed to hogs and uncles having bomb shelters with meth labs in the backyard. And the rumors are just extravagant. I mean, all I can say about it is extravagant. And then you got groups that should be spreading good information, like Locating the Lost, hiring outside experts to call me a liar and to make me out to be this monster that could kill his daughter when I couldn't raise a hand to one of my kids. My kids get away with murder. Literally, they get away with murder because I just don't have the heart to discipline. I mean, it's never been about Stephanie like it should have been. Not even for Locating the Lost, because it comes back to what were they looking for? They were looking for what would get them the views. 100% what would get them the views. Not once did they share verifiable information that they could. Why? Because there was no verifiable information. So what do you do when you have a platform, you got an algorithm, you got to keep fed? You make up. You do what you have to. Just like with Shelley. National news TVs wouldn't pick up their story. You ain't no problem picking that up, Locating the Lost. National, they went on their little group and told everybody that the national news would not pick up their story because it was too derogatory towards our family. But yeah, you had no problem running it. It's like Nancy Grace, another joke. She's got me living in the woods in a plastic tent. And then Nancy Grace has the audacity to send one of her little minions on, through a Gmail asking me, "Oh, it's been your daughter's and asking me if I would like to do an interview." I mean, I got my kids I got to think about, and your guys' witch hunt on me, it's affected my children. I mean, I won't call the law. My wife won't call the law, but we will be watching. It's just like here recently over the winter, she literally got ran off the road, completely out in the woods and everything. Nobody stopped to offer her help. Nobody asked if she was okay. The dude that ran her off just kept on going. So this ain't about Stephanie. Then I got people that are supposed to be my next door neighbors that's never really had anything to do with my family. I mean, that's like saying that we go up there to get water. We've never been to their property to get water. We go, if we're lazy, we go to Drew's. If we're not lazy, we go and get it from the local spring that everybody in New Sweden gets water from. Because 90% of the people in New Sweden right now probably have frozen lines until springtime. We never run out of water. We got water constantly. 75, 80 gallons on hand at all times. If it drops anything low, my wife's loading up the caddy and we're dragging water back here, as Chris says. That's a choice we made. No, it's not the easiest way. But we have babies to provide for, so we do what we have to do for our babies. We chose to live way back here because we accepted the reality that our family's a little bit different. We see things different. There's no neglect, never has been any neglect, never no abuse. I mean, I had CPS, FBI, and state police running through concurrent through my house for almost 6 months. I mean, Jared let this get as dangerous as it has gotten, but it is what it is right now. And all you got to do, Chris, Shelly, just shut your mouth. Don't talk to me. Just don't talk because you don't know nothing about my family. Absolutely nothing about my family. Yes, I went up there and made myself look like a village idiot in the driveway because I seen something on national TV where you and Doug sitting at a coffee table and I looked like a village idiot. But I did that. I admit that. I straight up looked like a village idiot. But you know who looked like a bigger idiot? Was the dude standing behind his wife with his hand on his gun, which in itself was threatening. When all in the state of Maine, Maine is a regression state. If you feel threatened, you need to regress into your home. I never crossed your property. I never even offered it. And as a matter of fact, as much of a bitch as I look like, when my wife pulled up and told me to get my ass in the car, my head went down and I jumped right in that car. Yes, ma'am, no problems. So, was I guilty of disturbing the peace? Oh, right, that's a misdemeanor. Were you guilty of brandishing a firearm after I showed you I carried no weapons of any kind? When in the state of Maine, it's a regression state. You had no reason to show any deadly force or threaten any deadly force, however you want to word that, until after you regress into your home. You never even offered to regress into your home. You came right up that street. Your wife's yelling and screaming and everything else, looking just as much like a village idiot as me. But you want to talk about me? That's fine. The difference between me and you is I admit what I've done. But I agree 100%. This should have always been about Stefanie. And I'm about to wrap this up because I just wanted to respond to Chris's video where he's sitting in his car yesterday or 2 days ago, probably by the time this uploads, and formally apologize to Locating the Lost. No, they did not make the video. I mean, that's on me. But you're in, as far as I'm concerned, you ain't no better than Nancy Grace or the rest of the tabloid ambulance chasers because you ran with that story. You've shared so much unverified information that it's completely convoluted the search for my daughter that I'm holding you guys accountable. She might have already been home. She could very well be sitting here with the rest of our family. But you guys turn this into such an ambulance chase and convoluted witch hunt that the focus that should have been locked on my daughter was taken away from being locked on my daughter and locked on me. So is this about Stefanie? Damn right it's about Stefanie. It's me addressing, it's me protecting, it's me setting boundaries. It's me telling you if you cross them boundaries, I will protect them boundaries. This is my family. What it does to me doesn't matter. I don't care. I absolutely do not care. But when it starts affecting my children, my wife, my son having to deal with things that he's not been made to deal with in his entire life. People like Billy coming out. You want monsters? Go look at Billy. But I'm going to wrap this up because kids have been quiet for 20 minutes and I told them 20 minutes. So if it was about Stefanie, great. But it was never about Stefanie. You guys never wanted it about Stefanie. You guys wanted it about the algorithm. Hire experts. Use my major platform like Nancy Grace. Let's put them in a plastic tent because that'll definitely get me views. And not one of you guys talked to me. Not one of you guys that had the nerve to come up my driveway and say, hey, or send me a message on Facebook and tell me, hey, you need to put your dogs up. We're going to come and introduce. Not one of you. Not one of you has sat down with me. Three major news stations have. They told the story just like it was, but of course, that got turned into what it got turned into. But have a good day. Let's keep it about Stefanie if we can. But until we can keep it about Stefanie, I'm going to keep this platform up. I'm going to set the boundaries so everybody knows why it got this bad. It was never, it was always about the clicks, about the views. That's all you guys ever cared about. No matter how you had to twist the story. Remember that. Point the finger at me. But it's like cockroaches. A million of them on that piece of food until you flip the light on it and they scatter. Well, I just flipped the light on. Because if I make mistakes, I'll admit it. If I did things in the past wrong, I'll admit it. I let my property be searched. My wife let our cars be searched. We cooperated 100%, always have. What more can we do? Jared should have got up off his ass and communicated to everybody that, hey, we've been 100% cleared. Not just by CPS, but by state police, by FBI. 3 different agencies cleared us, and not once did anyone say anything. So, this situation being dangerous, that's on them. One simple thing, and I teach my children this too, a lack of communication. But have a good day, and we owe my kids a big thank you for being quiet for 22 minutes. God bless.